We get started?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
please stop your hands. Yeah.
Okay, great. Thank you, students. Welcome you all to this session. I'm Ananth Padmanabhan. I'm the Dean at Vinayaka Missions Law School. I'm happy to see all of you here. Excited, I'm sure, to begin the academic session very soon. Sunita?
Yes.
So today, we will have a short, introduction to the law school and its vision. And then we'll open up for questions from all of you regarding various aspects of life at VMLS and what we plan to do. So let me begin by saying that VMLS is a very interesting experiment in Indian legal education. It's the first time, possibly in the history of Indian higher education, forget legal education, that one private university, which is considered to be the top ranked Indian university globally, has decided to mentor another institution coming up in Tamil Nadu with a very different mandate and at the same time with the same degree of commitment to excellence, and has been handholding us in order to achieve a certain level of success. So, this is in itself should give us enough reasons to feel excited about the VMLS mission and the journey. Like I said, I'm Dr. Ananth Padmanabhan. I graduated from the National Law School of India University in 2007. I practiced law for 6 years in Madras High Court, 3 years of which were spent with a leading senior lawyer in New Delhi called Arvind Datar, who back then used to practice in Madras. After those 3 years, when I learned a lot from my senior, gained a lot of practical experience, I decided to start my own law office focused on intellectual property rights, and used to also spend time teaching at the Bharatidasan Institute of Management and writing my book, which finally came out in 2012. Through these various experiences, I realized that while I enjoy legal practice, there is something that I'm even more passionate about, which is legal education. With that realization, I decided to move to the United States for the first time in my life in 2013 to pursue my master's, which then eventually ended up being a longer stay as I did very well during the program and got full funding to pursue my doctorate. So I was at the University of Pennsylvania Carey Law School, which is also famous, by the way, for its business school, Wharton. And I spent a good 3 years there, which again transformed my thinking. It helped me more than anything else to gain a sense of the impact that law has on policy making and vice versa. And it is with that understanding that I then decided to take my career to the next step, which is to join a policy think tank, a globally renowned one at that, called Carnegie. The Carnegie Endowment of International Peace was set up back in 1920s by a very wealthy donor with the mission to bring world peace. Of course, we know that that never really happened, but the Carnegie Endowment ended up being one of the most influential policy think tanks globally. I helped set up the India Center for Carnegie in New Delhi, the sixth regional center of the Carnegie Endowment, and the very first technology and policy research vertical within a century old organization. That was a great time for me, setting up the think tank, setting up the research vertical, and as part of this inception journey, creating something called the Global Technology Summit, which continues till date in Bangalore. It's an annual flagship event where the technology industry gets to interact with policymakers, with lawyers, with startups, and with all others who are invested, as we should all be, in the future of emerging technology and what it does to us on a daily basis. So, having created this forum where multiple stakeholders get together to discuss matters of public concern. It gave me a sense of who I am in a more full sense. I realized that I love the law, I love education, and I love bringing people together. And what better place to do that than a university? And it is with that understanding or realization that I moved to Chennai for the second time in my career in 2019 and joined a new university coming up in Chennai, where I created a skilling program called the Daksha Fellowship. Again, a lot of learning right during the pandemic to create something which was initially meant to be delivered in person and pivoting to something that was eventually delivered online or in hybrid mode. Creating the smart classrooms, creating the partnerships, creating the internship opportunities for our students who are already law graduates but needed a further layer of specialization in their career. All of that taught me many new things about education. And I realized that I'm meant to do this at a bigger scale. It is with that mission that I went to the United States for the second time in my life to pursue a mid career program from the business school at Stanford, arguably considered the best business school in the world. Again, it has been a very enriching year, a year during which I also got involved with Vinayaka Mission's law school, a year where I was personally headhunted by the Vice Chancellor of Jindal Global Law School to start this new mission, this new initiative, and give it a new direction. So that's how I'm here. From July, I've been in Chennai, boots on the ground, helping build the institution, interacting with our students, creating a new model of legal education. Now, I'll take a few minutes to share what that model is or is going to look like as we go along our journey because we are too young. I can't claim that we have already succeeded in creating that model. But it is imperative that all of you know what that model is because we are all going to be building it together. This is not done by me or my faculty team alone. This is all of us as a joint project. We are going to create a new model of legal education. The very first thing that I would like to emphasize when it comes to Vinayaka Mission's Law School is that it is inevitably going to be the law school for the future. Why do I say inevitably? Because we have no other choice. That is the reality of legal education today. If you take a look right across, you will see one multiple law schools, but you'll also see more ominously how technology is deployed on a day to day basis, and which in turn automates the functions that lawyers, paralegals, and many other professionals play in society today. So there is a constant sense of fear about the future of jobs, and rightly so. Any new law school being set up in today's times has to engage and engage meaningfully and engage realistically with the threat that technology poses to the work that we all do as professionals. Personally, I have witnessed some of these challenges. I have been involved in some of these projects and products, beta tested some of them. And I can say that if this is the scale at which automation happens, we definitely need to go back to the drawing board to think about how legal education should look like. In simple words, we do not have the luxury of complacency. We do not have the luxury of sitting behind and watching the world take us over. So, what does all of that mean from a practical point of view? The first is that Vinayaka Mission's Law School will focus heavily on what I call and what we all understand to be clinical legal education. There's going to be a very high degree of focus on clinical legal education. So, while of course you will hear from the best of legal minds who become your faculty members, who mentor you, who lecture you, we have developed pedagogy at VMLS, which is focused much more on activity and on practical learning. We'll expose you to real world problems and we'll make you do those problems, address those problems, of course, under our supervision. So you'll get the opportunity to work on live problems while you're in the law school. Through that, you'll get to see the plethora of issues that today come up, that clients today are concerned about, and how best to address those issues. So, this is going to be a very unique model because while clinical legal education is not a new concept, it is pretty much a done to death idea where many law schools have set up various legal aid cells, and they pretty much take you a few times a year to visit some courtroom or visit some tribunal, but you don't really learn anything much from those visits. So we are going to give meaning to that idea.
मम्मी क्लास ले क्लास ले रही है
And to
अरे
provide
सर
that meaning to the idea, we are very clear that we are going to make you do the problem solving with, of course, our training. So this is going to be an important element of your education at VMLS, and a lot of our training has been organized around the idea of non-taught credits. So you may not do an elective, you may choose to sit out, and of course, you may get some other incentives like additional leadership training and so on if you choose to be a part of clinical education. So, of course, we understand that not everybody may be interested in the same set of areas and subject matters. So, we are developing various clinics. And as we go along that journey, we'll incentivize you sufficiently to do the work that is required for you to learn practical problem solving skills. So, the focus on practice is the very first pillar around which Vinayaka Mission's Law School is built. The second, and I revisit the theme that I mentioned at the very beginning, is how do we shape legal education for the future? What is it that you need to know? So, rather, let us take it from the other perspective, which is what is it that you may not need to know because the machine is already doing it or will do it better than you do. So, knowledge has in many ways become an automated commodity with the rise of ChatGPT and various other solutions, as we all now know. Right. So, if you need to know something, you today have automated solutions that offer that knowledge to you. All you need to know is to type. So, if it is not knowledge that gives you that premium positioning, what is it that does give you that? In our view, as educators, having thought significantly at length about this problem, the answer is critical thinking. It is your ability to ask the right questions, to generate new lines of inquiry that will hold you in good stead, regardless of whatever machine, algorithm, or bot may come in to replace the abilities and skills currently brought to the table by a lawyer. So, if you are a lawyer for the future, your most primary skill is asking the right set of questions. So, that critical thinking is something that we will provide within the law school through multitude of ways. The second important thing is how good you are you at presenting yourself. The idea of personality is on the rise, and by that what I mean is not that personality or celebrity is an important concept in a negative manner. What I mean is that people want to see other people perform right in front of them, express right in front of them, communicate right in front of them. How clear are you as a communicator? How do you express your thoughts? How do you break down complex concepts into a simple manner of understanding? These become absolutely critical to your success as a professional and definitely your success as a legal professional. So, we will focus a lot on your communication skills. And as part of that, we have something called the Communications and English Language Lab at Vinayaka Missions Law School. So, while some of you may be comfortable with English, some of you may be less so, we believe that all of you should, by the end of your transformational journey at Vinayaka Missions Law School, be it through the 3-year program or the 5-year program, have a certain grasp of the language that makes you stand out. And we will focus on providing you with that skill, that facility or felicity of language and expression. So we'll really focus on that element. The third is, in any work setting today, you need to be equipped with what I call a general sense of workplace skills and responsiveness. How well do you respond to an email? How promptly? What is your attention to detail? As you all realize with law, one word used in a different context can change the entire meaning of a particular act or a particular rule or regulation. So we'll train you to read things carefully, to assimilate information meaningfully, and to apply your knowledge with great degree of attention to factual detail. No lawyer exists outside the facts of the case handed over to her or him. Always bear that in mind. As a lawyer, you are first and foremost meant to have a solid grasp over facts. So we will give you, through the education at VMLS, a very strong set of ways to think through facts, to think through assimilating facts, understanding them, breaking them down, and applying the law that you know to those set of facts. The clinical legal education is, of course, one part of it, but we will also give you a lot of leadership training, which focuses on this very element. So I call this what is called SOAR, the SOAR, SOAR model of thinking and leadership. There's a focus on skills, on organization, because no good lawyer can be disorganized. You have to be very organized. You have to manage your time well. You have to manage your office well. You have to manage your files well. Articulation, the element of communication that I was speaking about, and responsiveness. So SOAR. So you soar in your career when you are skillful, you're organized, you're articulate, and you're responsive. And we'll focus on building this ability in each one of you, in each one of you. Right. So we'll have some leadership programs, and of course, we will create a system by which each of you get the benefit of these programs and ideas. So this is part of the vision in terms of providing the right set of skills. Then, of course, there is a deep question about what are the new areas of law that you need to grasp. One of which is certainly data protection. As you may have seen a few days ago, Parliament has discussed, tabled, and passed the data protection bill. Now that that has become a law, it will have deep implications for the rest of us. It will have implications for every single startup that uses data to drive digital solutions. It will have implications for every single service provider that gathers data, collects data from across borders for processing within India. It will have implications for each of us as citizens who share our data with all these entities in order to get the benefit of these services and solutions. So, in short, it will have implications for pretty much every person I can see around me and me. Having said that, the law is a fairly complex one. It provides an enforcement architecture, it provides very complicated rules on data sharing, and it provides various other rules and regulations to ensure the sanctity and security of data. Who is going to address the kinds of queries that come up under this law? No one but all of you. You're going to be trained in these new areas that emerge. And through that training, you will approach these matters rigorously, you will approach it comprehensively, and you will apply your skills of legal research, articulation, and responsiveness to bring together the right solution for the clients of tomorrow. So we create you as the lawyers of tomorrow for the clients of tomorrow. This is really, in short, what I wanted to share with you about our mission and our vision at VMLS. And of course, I can take now more questions about what each of you may have in your mind about the model of education, about our curriculum, about life at VMLS, and so on and so forth. If you're shy to open up, unmute yourself and speak, my answer would be one, don't be so shy. And two, if you still can't get over that fact that you're shy right now, don't worry, please post your questions on the chat window and we will address all of these questions.
Dear students, I request you to, use this opportunity as this is an Ask Me Anything session with Dr. Ananth Padmanabhan. So any questions that is coming to your mind, probably you can ask this question here.
Sure. Thank you. Okay. I'm raising this question to Dr. Ananth.
Yes, Hariharan. Yes.
Thanks, Dr. Ananth, for your information. It's a very on providing a deep dive details about what you will be able to provide as part of VMLS. And I just want so I believe that in your website it's been provided that your institution is being mentored by OPG. So does this mean, can you please elaborate what is meant by mentoring here and what kind of benefit that we will be getting as part of
That's an excellent question. So yeah, let me take it in two parts. The first, mentoring, and this is actually not maybe directly benefiting students, but this is a very important aspect, and therefore I highlight it, is that Jindal Global Law School has had more than a decade of experience building a law school that is known today for its excellence globally and within India. What we do get through the mentorship agreement is a system by which all that knowledge transfer is happening. So at a policy level, at a structural level, at an institutional level, we have at Vinayaka Mission's Law School built the kinds of systems that are committed to excellence and which in many ways derive inspiration from what Jindal has done from its very early days. And this is absolutely important to emphasize because we have seen all kinds of law schools being started. And it is very easy to lose your way when you have a few students to do things in a certain manner without a commitment to excellence. What really ensures or secures the guarantee that VMLS will continue being committed to excellence is the fact that this mentorship, which is of course one for 5 years, starting from last, this January, that this mentorship agreement will basically keep guiding us like a beacon or like what do you say, a light, a leading light, right? Like a leading light, uh, will keep guiding us towards the project of excellence that we are committed to in our very early days. Similarly, it creates the right kind of ecosystem, the support system for us to go ahead and achieve that, be it the way that we hire our faculty, be it the way that we develop our faculty, be it the way that we admit our students and the kinds of transformative experiences that we provide to our students. So let us never forget that getting that guidance, getting that direction from an institution that has already achieved that, that is probably the most valuable element, regardless of whatever else comes directly to you through that association. But yes, you do pose a very valid question. What is it that students directly get out of it? So, one of the things that we haven't announced yet, but we are formulating now, is a winter school opportunity. And the dates have already been fixed for this January 4th to 7th to 21st of 2024. A winter school opportunity for our students to attend classes and to attend experiences at Jindal, in the Jindal campus, of course, for payment of a very basic fee. I mean, it will be a fee structure built just on covering their costs in running the program. But this is a wonderful opportunity for students who want to kind of get that exposure. It is not a mandatory program, of course, but I'm sure many of you would like to have that experience of going to the Jindal campus, spending 2 weeks there, getting that exposure to some of their star faculty, including some international faculty, and understanding the model of legal education that exists there. As students, these can be very transformative experiences, as I know, because I have often interacted with students who used to visit my alma mater, National Law School. back during the time when I was there. And they would come there and they'd say, you guys have all these facilities. This is how you approach a problem. This is how you think about something. So when you interact with bright minds, you understand what drives them. It gives you a certain passion to succeed. It gives you a certain motivation, a mindset, what I call the growth mindset. And that is exactly what we want for each of you. Right. So these are the two major points where the Jindal mentorship is helping us as on date. While, of course, we will keep exploring further possibilities of student, opportunities and benefits through the mentorship or in addition to the mentorship agreement. I hope, Mr. Hariharan, that addresses your query.
Thank you very much, Dr. Ananth. I have
Thank you.
a question.
Yes.
One more question. So, you have spoken about Chat GPT and the generative AI, which is going to be, which definitely does not going to replace the intellectual of the human being. And but of course, but general scenario, people are talking about it's going to replace most of our jobs, and jobs will be taken away by using this generative AI tools, right? So your perspective on this, what is that as a human, which we will be able to know or to gather all the knowledge which they are able to take the job about, right? So what is that your perspective on this?
Thank you. Thank you. That's a wonderful question. It's a really wonderful question. And when we speak about lawyers for tomorrow, I think this is a very, very important one that we need to address head on. So let us go back to the history of lawyering. Why do lawyers exist? Lawyers exist because two people disagree over the norms or the meaning of the norms that guide their behavior or guide their conduct. And that then automatically leads to what we call a dispute. Then, of course, over time, people started saying, let us not go to the dispute stage. Let us organize our affairs in such a manner that we are not violating any rules or regulations from the very beginning. And therefore, let us consult lawyers. Then, of course, people said, when we get into these heavy transactions, which involve a lot of crores of rupees or dollars, why don't we also consult lawyers who can structure these contracts, structure these agreements for us? So these are the many ways in which law and careers in law started evolving. But at the core of it, law is about rules and regulations that have been designed for human conduct to happen and to organize, to be organized, to get organized in an amicable manner in society. This is the very basics, at the very basics level, right? Now, out of these, there are some aspects that, like you rightly pointed out, and even I pointed out, are getting automated. For instance, smart contracts are automating the very nature of contractual negotiations and how contracts are entered into. Therefore, the kind of time that lawyers used to spend on writing the terms of a contract, that part of the function is now being replaced by bots. For sure, that is being replaced. Similarly, often, people approached lawyers, especially younger lawyers, to prepare a research note. Can you prepare a note on a particular case, right? Can you prepare a note on a particular statute? Now, this is the kind of stuff that ChatGPT is getting better at doing day in and day out. You upload a document, ChatGPT will give you a summary of that pretty efficiently and pretty quickly. And I don't think too many lawyers can match up to that ability. So these are some of the functions where the machine is better than the human, and therefore the human will lose out automatically. But let us also now look at the positive side, the bright side of all of this. Right? Let's go back to the very point that I made. Why did lawyering evolve? Right? Lawyering evolved because people have a dispute. And will you go to Chat GPT or will you go to a senior lawyer or a junior lawyer for that matter to get that dispute resolved? You know the answer. I don't need to say it. Therefore, the very future of dispute resolution still hinges on the human intellect. And I wouldn't even say human intellect, I would say human capability. Because this is an area where the bot simply does not have the capability, right? So you are going to rely on the human capability to get this resolved, and a lawyer with the right intellect, the right training, the right skill sets, and the right mindset can actually address this a lot better than any bot, any solution, any algorithm. So at the core of it, when it comes to disputes, there are lots of changes happening around us as we speak. I spoke about the data protection bill, but I should also have spoken to you about the Mediation Act. The Mediation Council of India has been created under the Mediation Act just a week ago. And mediation is going to be a big area of practice for lawyers of tomorrow, because we have a lot of pendency in our courts. We have a lot of inefficiency in the way that disputes are being resolved. And as a result of that, clients are losing out. And today, a structure has been created for these clients to use a formal mechanism of a mediator and get to discussing, get to talking about these issues and trying to resolve them through this professionalized system of mediation. So many new innovations in the world of dispute resolution are already happening around us, and they will continue to happen simply because in a country, and this speaking for India, I can say, in a country of 1.5 billion, you are never going to be able to run it on bots. You're never going to be able to run it on algorithms and machines. You will certainly need other human beings to resolve the problems that the rest of the 1.5 billion keep facing day in and day out. And disputes are on the rise, challenges are on the rise, laws are on the rise, and who else but lawyers to implement, interpret, and meaningfully direct the shaping of these laws, policies, rules, and regulations. So I hope, Mr. Hariharan, that does give some clarity on the man versus machine debate. So I do have a few questions in the chat window before I address questions that some of you may now post on post here. Let me actually go to these questions just so that we address all of that today. So we do have a question on how I can make a career abroad if I do law here. And before that, I'm from medical stream, so can I do law? Certainly you can. The question is, have you completed the MBBS program? What are the advantages, since you specifically mentioned this, right? As I'm assuming here that you have completed MBBS. So Dhruv, the most important thing to keep in mind is that interdisciplinary education and understanding is absolutely useful for certain areas of practice. Since you are from the medical stream, I can very clearly say, in this context of your knowledge of medicine, if you want to become a consumer disputes lawyer, a large part of consumer protection cases today are medico-legal cases, right? And for medico-legal cases, you need a good understanding of what decisions were made by the doctor and whether that is within the error of, or whether the margin of error or not. If it is within the margin of error, we will not penalize the hospital or the doctor. But if it is outside that margin, we will. But who decides that, and how do you decide that? You decide that based on your knowledge of medicine and medical procedures. So these are areas where people with an understanding of medicine can work and work very well. Similarly, today there is a rise of digital health. We speak a lot about health tech and digital health. And this is an area where knowledge of health and the health systems is absolutely critical. I spoke about data protection, and one of the areas where data protection is an absolutely critical one. An absolutely critical one is health data. So today we are talking about integrating health data, using it for all kinds of solutions, including smartwatches, insurance, which is automated using your health record, and so on and so forth. Insurance premium that is calculated on that basis. Essentially using your health data to offer you health services and solutions. Now, who better than somebody like you, Dhruv, who is from the medical stream, who is also trained in the law, who can address these things. You could, for instance, pursue a career in a health tech company. You could pursue a career in a hospital as its legal officer. And today we are seeing the rise of big hospital chains. There is a lot of acquisition, a lot of M&A activity going on there. So somebody like you could actually be the go-to person in these areas. So I certainly think you not only that you can do law, but you must do law, right? As a person trained in the medical stream. Regarding careers abroad, yes, certainly you can make careers abroad. Some of it may require qualifier exams, some of it may require an additional law degree. But the most important thing to keep in mind, Firdaus, Fatima, is that law is a way of thinking about life. Training in law makes you think in a particular way. It gives you the attention to detail, it gives you the felicity of language, the skill of articulation, the skill of responsiveness, which holds you in good stead all your career. So, to build a career abroad, whether as a lawyer or any other professional, the foundation that you get at PMLS and through your legal education is a solid enough one. Now, getting to the specifics, of course, I can address that even offline. We can you can write an email to the team and they'll connect with me. I'm happy to address how students, for instance, pursue an LLM abroad and through that then pursue job opportunities. How students today are, for instance, addressing through legal process outsourcing companies the opportunity to address client needs abroad, and through that experience create a track record for themselves and then pitch their own skills to employers. So there is a whole market out there. In common law countries like the Middle East is a place where a lot of Indian lawyers are in high demand right now. So there is a lot happening globally, and the answer is yes. The answer is also it depends on what you want to do, where you want to go and do it, and how you want to go about doing it, right? But certainly there are multiple opportunities for Indian lawyers, Indian qualified lawyers, to make their mark abroad as well. Programs like NSS, NCC, yes, we do. We have the NSS programs. We should highlight more of that in our website. We will. Our students have been involved in NSS activities, including cleanup activities very recently in the marshlands of Pallikarane. Our students had gone and been involved in some cleanup activities there. There are campus cleanup activities. And of course, we are now developing more activities and thinking of tying up with the various Rotary clubs within, Chennai to create opportunities for you to do community service, become Rotaract members, and then pursue community service through that avenue as well. So, in short, there are many community oriented activities as well. And life in VMLS is not just about books and about law. There are many other things that happen on campus. To address the difference between civil law and criminal law, this is a question which I think ideally I would like to address when you join VMLS and come to our classroom. One of the very first set of questions that we address, but I can quickly answer this by saying that any matter that is between two individuals is usually the domain of civil law. Matters that are between the state and the individual are domains of criminal law. So in criminal law, the state is quintessentially a party. The state is unavoidably a party because the state has an interest in prosecuting you, and such matters form the realm of criminal law. Wherever there are disputes between individuals, like for instance, you are constructing something near another person's home and that is causing nuisance, that is the law of torts. You have an agreement with somebody and you have not paid on time, that is under the law of contracts. You have a certain property which has been leased out to someone and that is not being kept, maintained properly. You want to evict that person, that is under the law of property, right? So all of these areas come within the rubric of civil law, while matters where the state is involved as a party and has an interest in prosecuting you comes within the domain of criminal law. This is a broad distinction. I hope that helps your query, Ramesh. Gauri, important question. Tamil language class எடுப்பாங்களா சார்? See, இது வந்து என்னன்னா, இங்க நாங்க வந்து தமிழ்ல நீங்க சப்போர்ட் சிஸ்டம் நிறைய நாங்க கிரியேட் பண்ணியிருக்கோம். நான் வந்து மலையாளி, ஐ கம் ஃப்ரம் கேரளா எனக்கு தமிழ் அவ்வளோ வராது. ஆனா நான் கொஞ்சம் தமிழ்நாட்டில் பிராக்டிஸ் பண்ணனால எனக்கு கொஞ்சம் வரும். I have created a system here where நாங்க வந்து we have first created a mix, a healthy mix of our faculty from both within Tamil Nadu and outside. Both are important. See, I do not see language as a matter of identity. I see it as a matter of ability to communicate. And if you are a good speaker in Tamil, I think that is something that one should be proud of. If you are a good speaker of Bengali, you should be proud of that, right? இந்த சினிமையில நீங்க பார்க்க மாதிரி அந்த மாதிரி தமிழ் இல்ல, குட் தமிழ். தமிழ் which has certain, beauty to it, Tamil which has certain quality to it, right? And that will, of course, make you a better advocate in the lower courts. Tomorrow, if you're practicing, you choose to practice in the lower courts. And why not? Some of you may choose to build a career there, right? And therefore, it is important that you first consider language as a matter of pride, as a matter of being able to handle that language with a certain degree of ability and skill. How good a communicator are you is the more important question. Now, regarding your fears about if it is taught in, if the language of instruction is in English, how do I cope? I can tell you now we have 207 students here at VMLS at this point. All of them are coping absolutely fine. We have created the systems and structures, tutorial hours, interaction with faculty who understand Tamil, interaction with other senior students who can mentor them. And through these models of mentorship and interaction and faculty, interventions and learning interventions, we have actually been quite successful in addressing this problem. And which is why we keep saying that at VMLS, we believe in excellence through inclusivity. We do not believe in a model of excellence which says, in order to be excellent, you have to forget the language, your mother language, and you have to learn something new altogether. What we say is, you come in with your growth mindset and you put in the best effort, right? அது நீங்க பண்ண முடியும்னா உங்களால you can achieve anything. I know senior bureaucrats who could never speak a word, in English, and who have come from that place to where they are today. In fact, நம்ம போர்ட்ல there is a senior professor, Dr. Chokkalingam. He's part of our board of advisors. So I met him a few days back and we were talking about various things. And he is a leading victimologist and criminologist of his time, an internationally recognized figure. And so I was asking Dr. Chokkalingam about this, right? He's now 70 plus and he was speaking about, this whole issue of language and how do we teach students who may not be very confident in English. And he gave me a very, very interesting story of a very eminent politician who leads a party in Tamil Nadu, who is also a doctorate. And his PhD supervisor is Dr. Chokkalingam. So he said, when I first met this person, he was a very underconfident student. He couldn't even complete a sentence in English. But more than that, he just could not speak in any language in a confident way. And he says, instead of addressing his abilities, communicative abilities from the perspective of you try and speak in English, I advised him to start speaking aloud. Be bold, be courageous, open up. That is what your client wants to see. Your client is not looking for somebody who can speak the king's English. Your client is looking for a lawyer who will stand up in court and fight for the client like it is your own case, your own life, So that is what clients are looking for. So he said, I advised him to become a confident speaker. And he says, as he became more confident, his value, self-worth, everything went up. And as he became more confident, he started learning English on his own. And he says, finally, he invited me, he hosted me for a special dinner when he got his PhD. He invited many of his friends and he spoke in perfect English about what his PhD's dissertation was about and the role of his mentor in helping him achieve that milestone in his life. So people have done it in the past. People will do it in the future. The only question is, will you do it? That is all that matters, right? The rest of it, we can all debate and so on. And you don't need to worry about it. There are materials also we have created because some of your seniors have gone through these challenges. They have created some materials in Tamil. So while the language of instruction will be English and you listen to the faculty, you learn from that. Our faculty are also extremely supportive and they help you in tutorial hours to cope with things that you haven't understood in the classroom. So our mission is to transform your lives rather than to say that because you can't speak English properly right now, that you are not the right person to be in VMLS. In fact, we value each and every student that we have, right? So that is really the answer to that. How often would the school provide opportunity to interact with their alumni in the campus? We are creating. First, let me clarify: we don't have any alumni yet. Nobody has passed out from the institution yet. Next year will be the first batch graduating in the 3-year LLB program. So that's the first, point that I wanted to clarify. Uh, Having said that, we have created a lot of mentorship programs to welcome you on campus, and your seniors will be there. And some of them have been extremely passionate about the transition that we are now seeing at VMLS, and they are certain to mentor each other. They will guide you about their internship journey, what they have learned over the last 2 3 years, 2 years at VMLS, and how you can do better. And that is how every institution is built. Like they say, right? I was never born great. All I did was I stood on the shoulder of giants, right? And standing on their shoulders, I learned something. So we have created that culture within the institution, and you will certainly be beneficiaries of that. Thanks, Dhruv, for clarifying. So hopefully, when you complete MBBS, I think, we'll have you on board. Or if you're looking to switch streams, that is also a possibility. I think you should have a word with the admissions team in that case.
So
There
what
is
is
a,
the
oh, yes, Harir. And yeah, I think I can now take a pause on the questions from the chat window and come back to addressing some of the other questions. Yes.
okay? So how many students per batch that we are focusing on currently?
Right.
Max.
So yes, that's a good question again. So the Bar Council of India has sanctioned us to take 120 students per program, and we have 4 such programs. We have the BA, BBA, BCom, LLB integrated programs, so 5-year programs, and we have the 3-year LLB. We are open to taking 120 students across the board, but we have also sort of worked it out in a manner where quality is more important than quantity at this stage of the institution. So in some cases, like for some integrated programs, it will be a 1-section class, which is basically 60 students. In some cases, it may be a 2-section class. That final numbers you will only get to know by the end of this month. But this is the broad, on the numbers front. This is the
Sir, please
Okay,
give
thank
some
you.
information about judiciary and UPSC exam.
Yes. So judicial services is an area where a lot of our students are now increasingly interested in preparing and turning up for the exam. So we are going to create some formal structures as well to train them. But there are already seniors of yours who are preparing for these exams. So there is already a lot of knowledge and passed on information that you can get from them. But we are also thinking of creating a separate structure by which you can get that training within campus. We can get some trainers to help you prepare for the judiciary. UPSC, we currently don't have a system to help you prepare for UPSC, because that is a far more complicated exercise, and I don't think a law school or any school can really create the opportunity to prepare for UPSC. But hopefully, all the training that you get will help you will stand you in good stead, when you take the UPSC exam. That is all I can say for now. I don't think currently there is any vision that we will have to, help you prepare for the UPSC as such.
And sir, what is difference between BALLB and BBLLB?
Right. So the focus of the BA LLB program is usually on giving you a set of uh, uh, disciplinary understandings, which what we call the liberal thinking, right? Which is a cluster of courses on sociology, political science, economics, and history. Right, and of course, there can be some research method courses as part of that. So the whole idea is that the BA component gives you a good understanding of social science and humanities. The BBA program, on the other hand, will have courses around um, management, marketing, organizational behavior, uh, business economics, courses which give you an understanding of the business world, right? And business administration related matters. The BCom, because you asked the question, I think I'll close the loop here by also pointing out the BCom LLB. The BCom LLB will have the similar focus in some ways as the BBA program, but with some other courses on accounting. So cost accounting, financial accounting, etc. So this is the broad, difference between the three integrated programs. So there are a lot of common courses, but a few courses which give you the additional knowledge based on your level of, based on your desired area of expertise or specialization that you want to do.
But sir, which is more beneficial, BA or BBA?
Depends again, on where you want to go, right? See, the BBA program has some advantages in terms of giving you a sense of commercial practices and so on. But the BA course also has a lot of advantages from the point of view of giving you a solid grip over areas like political science, history, which is very important to law because law has been shaped by the social sciences and humanities to a considerable extent. So a lot will depend on where you want to kind of take your career. And yes, we will create some opportunities for you to switch. Like the first year, if you do the BBA and you meet all the requirements, and then you say, look, you want to switch to BA, we will create some opportunity for you to do the additional courses and do the switch. We are designing that policy. But it is very difficult, I agree, at a young age to decide whether you want to do BA or BBA. I would say that for those of you who have a more generalist bent of mind, the BA is a great program, the BA LLB honors. For those of you who are very clear you want to do the company secretary exam and things like that, the BBA or the BCom LLB are equally good options, or maybe even better options.
In
Can
line
you
to this
undergo?
question,
Yes, yes.
in line to this question, so we have LLB honors, right? So what's the difference
Yes.
between normal LLB and LLB honors here in VMLS?
Yes. The honors program, okay, only means this. I mean, this is part of the BCI's mandate. So it's not like we have created something called honors. It's there in the BCI's mandate for legal education. The honors students inevitably have to do 8 more electives. Basically, that is what honors is about, nothing else. So you have 18 core courses. You have 6 optional papers. These everybody has to do, whether you're an LLB or a BLLB honors, or you're an LLB or an LLB honors. The difference is only in the 8 electives. You have to do 8 more electives and get those additional credits if you're doing the honors. And here we offer honors, and that is what we currently want our students to do, because we want our students to go through that slightly more rigorous legal education during their time at VMLS.
So what are career options after BA LLB honors?
See, career options for lawyers generally don't change all that much because you've done BBA, BCom, or BA LLB honors. The career options broadly remain the same, which is career options to go to courts and practice, to work with senior counsel, to pursue the judiciary as an option, to then, of course, pursue law firms. That's another opportunity. Third one is to go in-house and work within corporates, right? So there are all these multiple options, and today there are new options emerging too. For instance, through legal journalism is becoming a very important option, right? So there are lawyers, because you have the right training, right? You have engaged with language, you have engaged with, critical thinking. You could very well be an effective legal journalist, right? So that is an option that is emerging. So these are some of the options that are emerging today. Public policy is a second option that's emerging, because you lawyers come with good legal research skills, and public policy is in many ways an extension of law, but bringing in certain other dimensions like economics and so on. So people who have done the 5-year law program are usually in a good position to embark on a career in public policy as well, because they are exposed to these other subjects, social science and humanities, business administration, etc. Right? So that gives them a certain degree of skills to become public policy professionals. Compliance is an option. Legal compliance officers are now on the rise because many organizations are regulated entities. And if you're a regulated entity, you need to be in the business of risk management. Right? And when you're managing risk for regulated entities, you have to focus heavily on compliance. So lawyers have a head start there. So these are some of the career options for all kinds of integrated and 3-year program students.
Sir, what are the most important skills that should lawyer have?
The most important skill in my view, two important skills. One is critical thinking, and the other is very good articulation capabilities or communication skills. If you have these two, right, you can think your way out of any problem and you can communicate the solution. These are the most important skills. Research, of course, is an important skill, but I think as you learn and write more projects and do more things, you will pick up research. That is a skill that you inevitably end up, uh, picking up.
Sir,
Great.
are there moot courts in VMLS?
Yes, of course. We do have moot court competitions. We had an internal round of competitions, and now we are developing teams to go out and perform in moot court competitions, get that exposure as well. So yes, absolutely. Moot courts are a very important part of our learning. So are the clinics. So are the mediation arbitration competitions. So yes, we train our students for appearing in these competitions and proving their excellence.
As a part of VMLS, do we have any kind of R&D labs where we get
R&D labs are not. Yeah, so Mr. Hariharan, I think R&D labs are never a part of any law school. R&D is not what we do. We do faculty research. We do
Okay.
centers of excellence. So thank you for bringing this up. So what we have are 4 important centers of excellence. There is a Center for Justice through Technology. There's a Center for International Law. There's a Center for Maritime Law. And then we have the Global Tamil Law Center. These are 4 important centers that focus on research with student-driven activities that constitute research. But I would say more than even research, these are engagement centers. These are the centers through which you get to interact with the accomplished individuals from the world of law who have achieved something in these specific domains, the domains which I mentioned now. So that is the manner in which we do our centers, right? Research centers, which are also focused on engagement. And research then becomes a part of faculty activity. It becomes a part of student life as well.
Sure, sir. So do we have any kind of
Bar
projects
Council.
that is external projects that we take up as
Oh, yes. In
into
fact,
this
one of
Center
them.
of Excellence?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. In fact, one of them is up on the website. You can just see on our website the report on online gaming done by the Center for Justice through Technology. Please go through that report. It's a very comprehensive report and has been cited by the, it has also been cited by the Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology.
Which means that we get sponsorship from Ministry of.
Yes. Yes, there was a
Electronics?
grant. We received a grant for that study. We received a
Okay.
grant for that study.
Sure. Thank you.
Welcome, sir. Post-retirement too, people can pursue the 3-year LLB, just to clarify. Good evening. I do have a question regarding Bar Council registration. To write the bar exam, no, you don't need additional training. Whatever training you get at the law school, absolutely. That's more than sufficient. How does international law differ from domestic law? Very tough question, because these days we live in a globalized world where there is a lot of convergence between the two. But broadly, the answer is it depends on the source of lawmaking. Domestic law is always passed by a domestic source, a parliament, a state legislature, etc. International law, the sources of international law are very different. It is not one country that passes international law. It is a full system of various countries getting together and passing laws or legal norms, I would say, which then apply to countries as a whole. So that's the difference, broadly. Club activities, yes, we have a lot of student clubs. We will, of course, talk a little bit more. The admissions team can. Unfortunately, I do have a 5:30 hard stop. I may not be able to address the remaining questions in the chat window, but I will say that if there is anything that I have not addressed so far, mostly I think we have addressed all the academic and other questions. But if there is anything at all that I have not addressed, please forgive me. And please send in your query to the admissions team. They will pass it on for sure to me, and we can address those queries as well through the admissions team or through an email from me, one way or the other.
Sure. Thanks a lot, Dr. Ananth, for giving your time and taking up all those questions and answering all of them, very patiently. And any question which is related to the academics or the program at VMLS, I will take up the questions from our participants and we will definitely reply back to them. Thanks a lot again for your time, Dr. Ananth.
Thank you so much,
Welcome.
sir.
Take care, everybody. Take care, and look forward to seeing all of you on campus. Take care, guys.
Thank you very much, Ananth.
Thanks. Thanks. Bye.